Episode 162. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We got Batman and Robin, number 14. We have DC versus the Vampires, number 3. And we have the Rocketeer breaks free. Let's talk about them right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, talking about comics, if you guys want a copy of Lords of LA, it's my vampire mob set in 1950s Hollywood. Number 2, I also have number 1s available, but yes, it's got some really good artwork in here, and we have good lycanthrope action, as well as Marilyn Monroe's in there. We have Tommy guns, we have monsters, we have blood, sex, and gore, everything you possibly want. So if you'd like a copy, just put anything in the comment section, and I'll reach out to you. All right, because we are going to be going to print. My printer is in Florida, and I kind of lost contact over the last few days. So I'm waiting to see what happens this week. They probably closed down last week is probably what happened. Plus, just in time for Halloween, if you're a fan of classic monsters, if you're a fan of Mark Spear's artwork, he does plenty of covers for Marvel and DC, then this is the game for you. Again, just in time for Halloween, you can play as Dracula, Frankenstein, etc. And it's a card game for 1 to 4 players. With a 5th player, we're going to unlock. You play as Dracula, Frankenstein, etc. And it comes with figures as well for STLs and stuff like that. So you can go to mythlords.net, or you can just click the link in the description below and it'll take you right there. We are fully funded, so no have to worry about the game coming to you. So yeah, pledge right now. Help us unlock some stretch goals. We have a 5th player, which is the Wicked Witch, that we're going to unlock. So definitely jump on that. All right, so let's get into Batman and Robin. So this is by Philip Kennedy Johnson. I think he's the same one writing the Hulk right now. Joshua Williamson just finished up his run, and it kind of finished with a dud. But yeah, so we have the artwork. The recent artwork was okay, but the anime type artwork with the little splash colors, the watercolor look, I just did not like. But yeah, so we start out, this is a whole new run, so I don't need to go back to anything, but it's a Damian Wayne Robin in here, so it's got more of the relationship of father and son. But we start out with a fight scene between cars, and of course they're jumping on cars, they're bashing through windows, they're connecting the cars to make sure that they crash. So there's somebody in there, they're criminals in there of some degree that's in some kind of a convoy. I do like this panel here where he basically shoots it over to him so they can connect the cars together. I thought that was kind of cool. And of course they have one-liners as they land on people. How you doing? Hey, I'm some Batman over here. Are you a criminal? So, yeah, you gotta go down, buddy. So, of course, they have it crash, which that guy doesn't look like he's having a good day coming out of a car like that. And they're all connected by wires, so they can't go too far, except if you're going through a windshield. I don't know. But anyway, the whole thing explodes. But since they're on, the tethers, they all survive. Allegedly. Allegedly. But in here, Batman lost all his money, so I don't know what's going on here. He was in a brownstone at a time because Joker stole his money, Catwoman stole his money, and then Lucius Fox got back his money but didn't give it back to him, so Lucius Fox in a sense stole his money. And he lost his hand too in the last Williamson run, which I see he's got his hand back now. They're just going to forget that ever happened, apparently. But Damian is drawing, and he says, we have to go to this thing. He's like, well, why can't we just go out and do our normal patrol? And Bruce is like, well, we're not, so get over it. So he starts to play with the chessboard, and Bruce walks by and says, don't touch that. Don't touch it, because I was playing a game with your grandfather, and this is the last move. He's like, yeah, but grandfather's dead. He's like, don't touch it. So they go to this thing, and he's none too happy about being in a tuxedo. I don't blame him. So he's introduced to some people, etc. Because he's like, look, the Waynes aren't... Batman deals with the streets, but Bruce Wayne has to do with the people that need our help too. Not just if they're in trouble, but also if they're in financial trouble, we're here to help them as well. But Damian gets sat at the kiddie table, and he's not too happy about that, and this little girl tries to befriend him, and he's just a complete dick to her. So, I guess that's Damian in a nutshell. So he introduces him to this person that's like a lifelong friend of his father's, meaning Bruce's father's, Thomas Wayne. And Damian just is a dick again, and I forgot what he says in here. But he's like, but it seems to have worked out better for you than the rest of us. So he's like, whoa, 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 you're getting a slap later, buddy. You better be willing to spar, and I'm going to lay some bruises on your ass. So, yeah, I brought you in this world, I'd take you out. So anyway, we find out that there are other terrorists here, etc. So we got to have Bruce kind of jump into action. He tells Damian's like, I'm going to come with you. And he's like, nope, I need you here because what if other people come in to kill these people? You're the only line of defense. And he's like, all right, I guess that makes sense. And again, the little girl is trying to make friends with him, and he basically shoots her down. And the face on there is like, she's ready to cry. He basically made her cry. He's a dick. So anyway, he doesn't have time to change, so he knocks out all of the lights. He basically has a kill switch for the lights in the building. And he's like, look, if I can't get into the shadows, I'll bring the shadows to me, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyway, he goes into the sub-basement or wherever else. It looks like it's molten lava there. I'm not sure what's going on. And he meets this dude down there. I don't know what's going on there either. But he meets a dude down there. And suddenly there's a big earthquake inside, and this whole thing kind of goes up in smoke. I don't know what's going on. I'm very confused by everything. But, again, I always like the Damian relationship with Bruce because, yes, he's a dick, and, you know, Bruce is trying to get him out of that, but Bruce is a dick at times, too. So it's like, how do you teach somebody when you kind of have the same personality? Except he only has that personality when he's Batman, where Damian doesn't know how to wear the mask of being the philanthropist. So that's the difference. So I'm reserving it right now because I have no idea what this plot is. But I can tell you that we've seen this terrorist thing before, attacking the building, Die Hard style. There's nothing new here so far. So I'm waiting to see what he does differently. Right now, there's nothing. All right, so let's jump into DC vs. Vampires Wild War V. This is number 3. So Damian, that's one thing I have a problem with this artist is he's too subtle. He thinks that you get it when you don't. He doesn't spell things out with the way he does his panel layouts. So I'm very confused sometimes about what happens action-wise, and he just kind of just leaves it to willy-nilly. But somehow Damian who's a vampire, killed the queen who was Batgirl. And in the first one, Wonder Woman was changed. Hal was kind of like patient zero. So Wonder Woman's like the big baddie in here. And she was fighting Alfred, and Alfred found a Green Lantern ring, and it was able to work for him. And that's how he survived. But Grodd and Aquaman's trying to play both sides, but Aquaman looks like Deathstroke. When you see him, he just looks exactly like, I don't know why they're trying to meld him and Deathstroke together. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, we have 10 months ago, and that's Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. And supposedly they have a kid because in the last one, he's a vampire and they're hunting him, but he has a baby with him. And he's like, look, if I was going to eat the baby, I would have done it by now. So you need to lay off. He's a vampire there, and she's like, don't worry, you can't hurt me or whatever. Even though, they were trying to have sex. I don't know how that even works. Look at the size of him compared to her. Does she even feel it? I don't know. So now we switch over to Green Lantern Alfred, which I think is really cool. And they have some really good dialogue here about, serving people, makes me powerful. Where that's how he feels his life is. But she's just going all out on him. And he's had no training at this point with a Green Lantern ring. So there is that. So we're kind of having to, discount that. But she just basically flies right at him, and we get this big fight scene. And he kind of looks like Sinestro a little bit with the mustache and, the receding hairline, etc. And he's like, "You're not going to beat me." So, and he basically flies off. And she's like, we'll fight each other again. Don't you worry, Mr. Alfred. And you better serve me some milk and cookies. Or tea and crumpets. So here's Aquaman here. And Grodd talking. Aquaman's there with the white long hair, and the patch. See what I'm saying? He looks like Deathstroke. He's even got orange on. At least put him in green, and so we can tell the difference. And then we have some kind of an infiltration taken care of here. That's Zealot, and I don't know what Killer Croc is doing there, and Green Arrow, and Wildcat. But they found like a feeding area. They thought it was like a blood bank, but it wasn't. They were actually, growing food, and they were very confused by this, and they're trying to question these vampires who are not being very cooperative, even though they're being very persuasive. And yeah, so they really don't find an answer to that. And then we go to this guy, which I haven't seen him in forever. He was like in a Batman book, but he's off killing people, Ghostmaker. So he's got a little bit of a cape and stuff like that, but with the eyes kind of look a little bit Deathstroke, not Deathstroke, but Deadpool. More questioning going on. Because they really want to find out what's going on. But again, they're not being very cooperative. So now we have Damian and his crew that all look like Hush. They're all bandaged up. And he's about to get in over his head here because we have Black Adam and Cassie Sandsmark and Raven. They're about to get their ass kicked. Raven throws off some stuff, and here's where I get confused. All right, so you see a ball getting thrown there, right? And Damian throws something, and then Batwoman comes in here. I assume she's a vampire, but whatever they threw just explodes there. Cassie's right there. Everybody is right there. Everybody dies from whatever they threw. Everybody dies. And then he's holding her hand, and she disappears. So it turns to ash. But why didn't he? I'm very confused by this. So we have Black Canary goes to see John Constantine, and of course he's being a dick. And they're talking about magic, etc. And then we go back to Damian, who's the only one left. But somehow everybody died, that all they were vampires, except for Black Adam, Cassie, and Raven. I don't understand how they survived and everybody else died. Yeah, all three of them are there. And then Batman shows up, but Bruce is dead, so he's like, "Who are you?" And he takes the cowl off, but we don't see who it is. And he's like, "You. And that's it for that. So, yeah, I like it. Of course, if you were doing a movie, you'd have to do a movie like the first one, because you couldn't jump into this one. You'd have to do the first one first. But I think that Deceased is a better storyline than DC versus Vampires. So they probably want to do Deceased first. Deceased was if you haven't read Deceased, it's actually pretty good. I'm not a Tom Taylor fan, but I thought it was pretty good. Although Deceased was very good, and Injustice was very good by Tom Taylor. And I know everybody hated on the Last Titan stuff, but I kind of like the Last Titan's arc. I think he's jumping off a couple of those titles. But yeah, so I would love to see a Deceased movie. But even if it was like direct to... See, that's something that you can't do for the theater. Because you'd have to you'd have to get all these characters out first, but it is something you could do as a series. Like that's something they could do with Max and stuff like that. You know, take something that you can't tell in a single movie and wouldn't follow the regular continuity. Like Elseworlds and stuff like that would be great as a series, kind of like what they're doing with Penguin. But whatever. All right, so let's go jump into The Rocketeer Breaks Free. So The Rocketeer was a movie in the 90s with the Dalton from James Bond, and Jennifer Connelly played. And that wasn't Betty Page. It was Jen, I think. But in here it's Betty Page, who was a very famous model back in the 50s. But anyway, so the last one, the Den of Thieves, set this up. Den of Thieves I thought was okay. It had some good fight scenes because you have Nazis on jetpacks. Now, how they got back and forth, at least here they took a U-boat and then came off on the jetpacks. That makes more sense than them trying to fly all the way to Germany on a jetpack. That makes no sense. They wouldn't be able to carry enough fuel. So anyway, the U-boat came up and it ended up bombing the Golden Gate Bridge. And the girl there is a cop, the blonde, and the other one is Betty Page, which is Cliff Secord, who is the Rocketeer. It's his girlfriend. Okay, so they came out here because Betty Page is a actress, and they came out to do some stuff. And, of course, there's a whole bunch of action taking place where Cliff has to put on the jetpack and helmet. So, meanwhile, his mom and Peavy, not his mom, but Debbie's mom, which is the blonde girl, that's her mom, is with Peavy, and they've got separated from everybody else. They started helping people, and now they're heading back to the house. Meanwhile, we have Cliff, who has just fought with the Nazis, and they had a little decent fight scene. I would have changed a few things, but overall it was pretty good. He gets a call from his guy in the government, and the government guy says, you have to go to Alcatraz because the Nazis are going over there because there's a scientist in there, and I need you to find out what's going on. And he's like, why me, man? He's like, I really can't rely on anybody else, so you need to do it. Do it for your country. And because you owe me. He's like, all right. So meanwhile, they go home, and they're talking, and they're flirting, and he pushes her out of the way just as there's a sniper blast or whatever else from the house. So they can't go back to the house. And just keep that in mind, all right? I'm going to tell you in a second. So they don't go back to the house, obviously, but there's no cell phones or anything like that in the 50s, so they can't call anybody, can't call Debbie and whatever else. They don't go to the house, there's assassins there, blah, blah, blah. So that doesn't happen. So he's like, where can we go to hang out? And she's like, I have a place. So now, meanwhile, now Debbie and Betty get to the house. Apparently, the assassins just got tired of sitting there and left. Didn't leave anybody behind. Nothing. They were there alone. Okay. So now we go to Alcatraz. I'm not sure what that's a plot hole as far as I'm concerned. So Cliff gets to Alcatraz, and he sees that there are some guys, some guards that are knocked out and their clothes are taken. So now he knows that the Nazis have infiltrated as guards. All right. So apparently nobody knows everybody's name, where they can just realize what happened. So meanwhile, they all meet back up at the house, and here she says, what's going on with your mom? And she's like, I'm less worried now. Why would you be less worried now that they didn't show up? But anyway, the writer tries to fill that hole, but it doesn't work. I don't know any daughter that wouldn't be more worried that they don't know where their parent is. An elderly parent at that. But anyway, she gives Betty some clothes. She goes into, she's got to be able to get Cliff into Alcatraz. So she ends up meeting with this crime boss and says, how would you like me to owe you a favor? He's like, I'm listening. So meanwhile, Peavy and the mother are hanging out in the basement. And she's talking about, her dead husband, blah, blah, blah. But just kind of hanging out in there. Okay. So, meanwhile, we have Debbie and Betty by themselves get a boat, and they find the Nazi that Betty belted in the last one. She got into a fist fight with Kepler, I think her name is. So they make landfall, and they confront, by themselves, this Nazi army. And why are they surprised when she's got one gun and they have four? Why is that a surprise? So meanwhile, Cliff gets into the Alcatraz, but not without getting a butt of a gun to his head. And yeah. And he's like, oh my God, it's Delton. And he's like, welcome, Rocketeer. So anyway, that's it. So yeah, I would love to see the Rocketeer movie. I thought the Rocketeer movie, if you haven't seen it, it's lots of fun. It was back when Disney can actually make fun movies. I love it. I've seen it probably a dozen times. The cast is really good. Jennifer Connelly is drop dead gorgeous in it and stuff like that. She's very young. But yeah, so let's do a recap. Yeah, I kind of like Nazis with jetpacks. That kind of works for me. So I think they'd have to rework some of this, but I think that generally the plot works. I'm waiting to see what this whole Alcatraz thing is. And yeah, this would be good as a little mini series on Max, but Deceased would be better, I think. And then I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea what's happening in here, so I can't tell you if it's going to make a good film or not because I don't know. I don't know what's going on. All right, so that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way through. If you have, remember to give me that like, give me that subscribe if possible. Ring that bell, ding, ding. It's free. Why not? Help me grow the channel out. Plus, remember, too, that go to mythlords.net and check out the Mythlords Classic Monsters card game where you can play as your favorite classic monster, whether it's Dracula, Frankenstein, the creature from the deep, or the Wolfman. And also build your monster army, whether it's the Bride or Hyde or the Mummy. I like that Bride and Hyde. It just rhymes. Headless Horseman, and fight over locations. It plays 1 to 4 players, which we're about to unlock a 5th, and which is the Wicked Witch. And here's the figure for that one. And it does come with all the STLs for the figures. And again, it's just in time for Halloween. Check it out. Check out mythlords.net or go to the link in the description below and help pledge. Help us get to that next stretch goal. All right? Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out some other videos on your way out. And I will see you on the next one. Have a great week.